Hello everyone and welcome back to Doll Week. We are here live at the Grovian Doll Museum. I have Michael Canadas and David Robinson standing behind me. Have you guys been having a great week with us?
We have.
Yes.
We're having a great time. Yeah,
We've had a great time.
We don't want you to leave, Rich.
We've been having a wonderful time with you, and thank you for everything that you've been doing, educating us and bringing the world of dolls and everything that goes along with dolls into our homes. So thank you so much.
That's our pleasure.
Well, right now we are about to have behind us a miniature, not quite miniature, but a 19th century dollhouse tour. And what are we going to see in this tour?
We're going to cover three houses: an American house, an English house that's furnished, and the ultimate Gottschalk mansion, a German house. We're going to start with the American one here.
So exciting. So a lot of the people on Ruby Lane love dollhouses and love miniatures, and people that aren't necessarily doll collectors love miniatures.
Yes, this house might actually be familiar to some of the hardcore dollhouse collectors because they probably have seen it, and we're going to jog your memory a little bit.
For many, many years, it was in Flora Gill Jacobs'
that.
museum in Washington, D.C.
Dollhouse Museum. This was, I believe, her first book, published in 1965, and the Dib Doll's House, as it's known, from Bel Air, Maryland, was on the cover. And as is typical with, mostly typical with American houses, this house opens on the back.
And this is a one-of-a-kind house.
Yes.
This is a carpenter-made
house. But what a carpenter. It's fantastic. It's just lavish with gingerbread and finials. And the as far as I know, these pieces out front with the statuary or topiary pots, the fence, is that in the photo?
The fence is probably not original.
Yeah, but it's of the period, probably 1880s.
Yes.
And we were lucky enough. Did you show the photo with
Yes.
this at
And
Christmas?
here is the house at Christmas time.
Amazing.
And this
And
was
the whole scene.
beyond the childhood of the children that owned this. This became part of a tradition in this town where people would come and see their Christmas display with their 14-foot Christmas tree.
Where did you get that information?
I just
That's news to me. Wow, you have
You
a secret
didn't know
source.
that?
I didn't
I,
know that.
my
Wow, I'm
hamster
going to just
went-
listen to you.
So this became beyond the three girls that played with it. It became a Christmas tradition.
Wonderful.
And I'm just a genius because I read
The article.
the article.
I love it. That's good.
So that's how you came up with it.
That's right. I didn't make it up. I
But I
read
think
it.
mansard roofed houses are a particular favorite. They're so
Yes,
elegant. And they
they
have a
are.
French influence. This one emulates slates and has a little widow's walk around the top. The lightning rod up on top, probably it came with a group, so we put it up there. It's kind of fun. In the photo, they have a great little cupola, but it's actually a garden house.
And originally, this dollhouse was just loaded with hundreds of dolls, all over the
Little
balconies and
We'll
verandas.
go a little.
and-
We're going to take a little walk
Yes,
around
yeah,
here.
Absolutely.
As
It's
we
just-
said, it opens from the back, and it's that isn't a favorite feature for dollhouse collectors because it means in order to access it, it has to be in the middle of a room. But typically, you'll see the other houses open from the front, which makes it friendlier to display.
But
Exactly.
here, this house is really, as far as I'm concerned, and maybe you disagree with me, which you do a lot. This house is all about the architecture.
Yes.
I think
yes.
that's what, and this is
Yes.
part of our reserve collection. It's not always out, but we brought it out because it's such a phenomenal house for Christmas time.
It hasn't been in private hand. I mean, it was at the Washington Dolls House Museum for decades, and then it was actually on display at Angel's Attic Museum in Santa Monica until just a few months ago. Yeah, we were fortunate to obtain many dollhouse examples from the museum, and this one is going to be a keeper.
And of course, this is going to stay with the museum, but many of the other ones, are going to go into our inventory and
At some point.
be sold. But this, I think that if you're a collector of dollhouses, it's hard to find a true American house.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, there
American
are, but a real
stylistic.
special merit.
Yes. Yeah, and that's hard to get.
Yeah,
I mean, and,
absolutely.
What a treat it is to see it.
so we like to represent America.
Sure.
You know?
In the flag, it's in the photo, it's been there all along.
Been there all this time.
They're,
And it's on
they're
the
a
cover of the
patriotic
book.
family.
And it's on the cover of the book.
How neat.
And
So-
you know what, the kids, you know, we do dolls as our profession, and there's a part of dolls that, you know, it is a profession, believe it or not. And there's a part of that becomes a job, but there's something about when you're playing in a dollhouse and arranging the furniture, you have to be in a different state because you have to be calm.
You
Because
can't have too much coffee
you
that
can't have too
morning.
much coffee because you put your hands in and everything knocks over.
Yeah.
So it's really a kind of a nice.
Oh, it's therapeutic.
Therapeutic.
Oh,
Therapeutic.
gosh, yes.
So that's a great reason why somebody should get into the hobby of dollhouse collecting. It's because
and the
it's
other
therapeutic.
thing that's great about a dollhouse is you can go to a doll show and chances are excellent you're going to find something for your house.
Miniature.
Some tiny little treasure. And so you get a fix and you can look through the whole show and maybe find a whole room full of things for your house or just one little thing. But chances are good you're not going to leave the show empty-handed. So, and that's why we go to them in the first
go to
place.
Ruby Lane. You find
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's endless things.
Yeah, we have a whole section for dollhouses and dollhouse miniatures on Ruby Lane, and there's so many wonderful things on there, and you can buy a lot when they're small,
You can, and you can sneak it into your house easy.
which we
You know, it's
like.
I've always had that.
Exactly. What do you mean that's not new?
And one thing too about dollhouses is that I think are great is, you know, we love old houses and old buildings, and we can't afford, nor do we want the stress of having 3 extra houses of different time periods.
I don't
But
know,
you
I
can
wouldn't
do it.
mind another one.
Okay. But you can do it in miniature.
Right.
You can easily do it in miniature.
If you've always wanted a certain style house and you just don't want to buy the whole thing, you can
Right.
buy it in miniature.
Exactly, and live different things that you might actually not want to have. You know, you might not want to have, you know, a Victorian sofa in your real house to sit on, but you can do it in your dollhouse.
They're great for frustrated decorators.
Absolutely, absolutely. Should we go to England?
Let's go to England.
Okay, let's go to England.
Now, England is the treasure trove of dollhouses because I think
It's
it's
such
in
a
their
part-
blood.
it's a
the
part of
British-
their culture.
British people to have a dollhouse. In Germany, I think the focus is probably on rooms more so.
Room boxes.
Standalone rooms,
And France.
kitchens. France, yeah, they're not so big on the houses. There are a few fabulous houses we've seen, but I think Americans are big on the houses. But there's no
In the
comparison.
past.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
in the past.
comparison to the English.
English love their dollhouses.
Yes, and this one we know the date because it says it right on the front. Aren't we lucky?
And this is totally original, the
Yes, it is.
front and all of it. Wow.
1876,
One
Dolly
thing that's
Varden
very
cottage.
interesting about this house is we love houses that are named. Because if you come to our part of the world and you go to Carmel, there are no street numbers in the city of Carmel. So if you have a house, it's on the southwest corner of the blah, 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 and there's no numbers. So people have named their houses like Tucked In, Bluebird Cottage, you know,
Oh, it's
Hummingbird Cottage.
amazing. We'll have to drive you in Carmel. You can check out the house.
So we have a fondness for houses that are named, and this one is 1876, Dolly Varden. So I kept thinking when we first got this house, that sounds so familiar, Dolly Varden. Of course, I did research. Dolly Varden, there's a gazillion dolls that are Dolly Varden, and mostly a lot of cloth dolls. And Dolly Varden was a character in the Dickens character from Charles Dickens' books, and she was a fashion disaster. She wore brightly colored
Colorful.
clothes, and
But a Dolly
did
Varden is also a trout.
a trout.
It's
So
a very colorful fish.
So-
Oh, that's
we don't know if this
interesting.
was a fishing rod.
So when we got this
Or-
house,
or
we
a
thought-
frustrated
then
theatrical
once we
person.
did the research, it's Dolly Varden. The wallpapers and all of that dictated what the house would be. And in 1876, would you not agree? We are at the height of Victorian.
Yeah, opulence and
Color.
the special movements, aesthetic movements, and exotic tastes, and
I think we're at the height.
oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's safe to say.
Yeah. So
But this house is fairly humble on the outside. I mean,
Yes.
it's just scored stone. slate roof. But another thing that tells you this house is English are the chimney pots up top. See the individual little smoke. One chimney would service all the fireplaces in the house. That's why you have the pots that are the individual. I mean,
Oh, that's
obviously,
interesting
that's
to
just
know.
an architectural
Yeah.
detail that gives you a clue.
and-
And the handles on the side are kind of fun because you could actually move this easily, whether
From
you
a
wanted
nursery
right
to
from
outside.
a nursery to outdoors if you wanted to go play plein air for the day.
Right.
But when we wrote an article about this house, and we said that the original owner must have been very artistic because of their choices. And then soon after writing the article, we received letters from people from England.
We did buy this house in England.
Yes, and we received letters from people, and our guess was right because the original owner ended up being
She was an artist.
an artist,
Yes,
an accomplished artist.
yes, the artist.
So that's really kind of nice. You sometimes do have to put things out in the world, and then you get more information. But I think we should go inside.
I know our viewers are
And people
absolutely
love to peer
aching.
through the windows.
So right now we are peering through the windows. If you guys are tuning in, we're having a 19th century dollhouse tour at the Grovian Doll Museum for Doll Week. If you're interested in dollhouses, miniatures, architecture, so many things, share our video.
Are you ready?
We're ready. Wow.
This one's chock full. just like a Victorian house.
Now,
Look
I
at
think we
that.
have a little man in here that's been overly refreshed
Oh, did he fall?
because he's fallen over, and that happens. Okay, now
He's good.
Now he's good.
So as far as scale, how big are these items on this?
It's a 1 inch to 1 foot, but remember, real dollhouses that were played with by children, they did not necessarily care about the scale. They were kind of about the scale. It wasn't the same as miniaturists today that are doing amazing work and beautiful things. They're very scale conscious, but
And I think it's up to the individual collector to decide the scale in their houses. We decorate houses from the perspective that we want it to look like a real house. And everything is kind of relative to each other size-wise. That's not always the case. I mean, it's just your personal preference. And then people get hung up too sometimes on the ages of things. I can't have something, newer than the house or whatever.
well,
But then
we
you have
don't.
to decide in your
this
mind.
house is 1876,
So
so
maybe we're looking at it now in 1930. So
exactly.
you
Yeah.
have to play
Yes.
a little mind game with yourself to justify
And that's
some of
called.
the
That's
things
really
that you
called
place in the
playing.
house. It is playing. That's right.
And I make rules, and then David breaks the rules, and
Oh, do
then
I?
or vice versa.
Oh, okay.
Look at this.
But this house is it is filled with mostly, I would say, 80% German, even 90% German things, because
They made
the
most of
Germans
them.
are the ones that supplied the furnishings. We have examples from Waltershausen, the Kessner company did a lot of the little dark furniture with the gilding. This house is loaded with ormolu from Erhard and Sohn, a German company that did this beautiful gold plating process with copper, bronze, fire, and mercury, poisonous process.
Very poisonous.
It's
But,
nice to see your
and the
hand
parlor-
pointing because
The parlor is
we can
decorated
see
for
how
Christmas.
little these items are.
Yeah.
And also,
at
the
that.
1876 was the height of the period where it was called the age of the upholsterer. So they would upholster everything. The mantelpieces, the
You see
furniture,
The lambrequin on the mantle is embroidered.
and
Look at that.
the salon set
Just
is in the Turkish
classic
style, which
Victorian.
was a hugely popular style at the time, and actually very comfortable if you've ever sat in any.
And we have the requisite bulldog on the
Of
side.
course,
That's how
love
you
the
get
bulldog.
the real English country look.
That is the
You
secret.
let loose
bulldog.
about 4 dogs in the house and leave them for a week. That's how you get the look. That's what I've read.
And when we were kind of playing with this, I feel that this is, since it's a small house, and here's what Michael and David like. We like either really small houses, and although this is a medium-sized house for us, we either like really small houses or gigantic. That's kind of how we lean. But
So this is medium size.
This is medium size.
This
which
is manageable.
It's manageable for us and most people. But we see this, maybe you'll disagree with me, and you will, I know, if you do. But this is like a grace and favor cottage. So I see this as a little cottage that belonged to, say, one of the Queen Victoria's aged cousins, and she's given them this house to live in for free, and they brought their pretty things with them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and they had exquisite taste.
Well, and you know that they're related to the royal family because
They do have portraits.
They've got portraits of the royal family, and then of course she's looking in the corner. There's a bust of Queen Victoria,
Presiding over
and of
the
course
parlor.
the Christmas tree that we all now have. Some, not all of us, but that we're all used to in society, started with Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Prince Albert brought that from Germany, and it became part of the culture.
This particular family has a collection of birds. Did you notice? There's an ormolu cage.
Look at that.
With these tiny little wax birds on the perches. There's one in every window.
And for those
There's
who are tuning in and looking at these birds and these accessories,
parrot
and
up here.
look at that parrot, it's important to point out that this is
And there's another one.
high-end collecting. These are quality items. Sometimes people see things like this and then they think, "Oh, I'm going to go to Hobby Lobby and get it." That's not quite how it works.
Well, I mean, you can go. I'm sure you could get something at Hobby Lobby, but you're not going to get. This is very. I mean, I'm not discouraging if you have a grandchild and you want to do a house from Hobby Lobby or wherever you can Best Pack. Those are wonderful things. But I think for us as collectors, this is really a lot of fun. This is really a lot of therapy.
It's serious and fun.
It really keeps.
And they're never really done.
They're never done.
We added the last thing. I think we've added 2 things to this in the last year. One was this little pair of
Bulldogs.
Vienna bronze bulldogs that were a present from somebody visiting from England, which was, aren't we lucky?
Look
We
at
get great
those.
gifts.
So
And
wonderful.
then we were back east looking at a collection, and this little thing was in a cabinet. And I was determined that I wasn't going to leave without it.
Look at that.
And it's a pocket watch holder from Earhart and Son with the tiniest little enamel pocket watch hangs on it. I haven't found a spot, so now it's just lying on the bed, but just a darling. I've never seen this
darling.
before. And that's kind of the other
It's
thing.
fun.
It's fun.
It's
It's
fun.
the hunt,
Right.
There is a wonderful book by Swantje Kohler, a German researcher,
Which
Earhart
people
and
should
Son.
have.
You should have it. It's wonderful. It shows the catalog pages of this company. And it's like, you can collect all 500 pieces, one at a time. But
And we are.
we're trying. We're trying. And this is one of those elusive things, in my opinion.
So for those who are looking at this and wanting to get started, you're not going to start here. You could even start making your own out of an armoire or something like that.
Absolutely.
And building on that.
Sure,
So
a room box.
One of our
A room
friends
box, yeah.
and customers for this sort of thing sent me a photo 2 days ago of a Tantalus box. Do you know what that is? It's an inlaid
You could buy
box.
those on Ruby Lane.
Yes, it opens up, and there was a little rack inside that had decanters and glasses. She bought one that didn't have the interior,
Which a lot of them don't.
and she just sent a photo. She furnished it like a doll.
How
It was
fun.
amazing, with a carpet and wallpaper. So it's this treasure box. You open it up, and it's a little parlor
Voila.
with a lithograph paper set.
Yeah,
She's
so
very clever at that.
you don't need $1 million to actually get started.
And you know
with
what?
this.
Really, honestly, even the fun part is the doing it. And then after it's done, and I mean, it is this house. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, if David finds a place for that pocket watch holder, it will be a miracle because it's. I mean, you could maybe have got a spot
I kind
here.
of like it where it is.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But okay, so then the fun part is doing it. So if that takes time, and even if you have a limited budget, you can do it over a period
But I
of
think
time.
we have to issue a warning. You start with one dollhouse, but that's not where you don't stop.
No,
I only want one. People say, "Oh no,
no. When they
I need
say
an
one,
American one now, or I
Yes.
need a German one." a little one, a big one, they're addictive. So be careful when you proceed.
And I should say, because you know we have to get the commercial in here, so that for the Grovian, next year, I forgot in the earlier posts that we made to mention this. Next year we're going to have an event, because out of Flora Gill Jacobs Museum, the Washington Dollhouse Museum, and then it went from there to Angel's Attic Museum, was the incredible, it's one of the 5 most expensive dollhouses that was ever sold, which is their Mexican mansion. And that is a 1895 incredible marvel.
Yeah, the challenge is, where do we put it?
We're going to put it.
We did purchase it from Angel's Attic. It's huge.
We will find a place for it, and when we do, we are going to have a incredible Mexican fiesta.
Have a
party.
housewarming
Oh, that
fiesta.
sounds
Because
fun.
It'll be
It's
good.
something. It has working elevators and automobiles and radios and
Oh, it's
running
fantastic.
water,
Oh,
and
amazing.
it's an incredible mansion.
Well, hopefully
And,
we can see
yeah,
pictures
hopefully
or bring
we
our
do.
cameras back
Yeah,
to
you
that.
can
That would
come
be
on
great.
down, because it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, this was a gorgeous house. Thank you for sharing.
You're
Shall we
welcome.
go to Germany?
Let's go to Germany.
I
So
think-
if you guys are tuning in, we're here live at the Grovian Doll Museum, and we are on a dollhouse, a 19th century dollhouse tour. You're going to see, we've already seen some incredible pieces. This is a large house. I'm going to pull back a little bit so we can see how it is in relation to David.
David, you're 6'2".
Yes.
You're 6'2", so
So-
you get an idea.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
and it's about 30 inches off the floor.
It
but,
is off the floor, but look at
we
this.
have had, over the 30-something years we've been doing this, many Moritz Gottschalk dollhouses.
Nice ones too, and they're
But
a nice quality
once-
house.
And we always wanted an example for us to keep, and this is it. This is
This
the
is
one.
it.
And I think when you have this, you don't need any more. So we're stopping at this one.
This is
And
incredible.
not only we need more, but after having this, we can't afford more.
Oh, well, that
This is-
too.
this
that
is-
too.
Yeah.
But can you imagine as a child
No.
seeing this under your Christmas tree or near your Christmas tree?
And was this a gift for a child?
It's a toy.
Yeah,
It's a toy.
It's a toy.
Absolutely toy.
I think it's the most. There's also a reprinted Moritz Gottschalk catalog of dolls' houses, stables, kitchens, all that sort of thing.
And that's
this
a wonderful
is
too.
totally one of the most featured
Yes.
pieces.
And for the
it's just
early
incredible.
early period, this we believe is the largest house that they
I
made.
think yes, they've made many of the models in various sizes. In fact, they're photographed like stair step
Look at that.
sizes. But this has got to be one of the. This one dates 1892. We know exactly because of the
And for Moritz Gottschalk,
catalog.
that is fairly early.
But the earlier ones sat on these big platforms, and the larger ones sat on these platforms like this, and they have this mechanism that keeps
Now I
them
have to
closed.
we somebody forgot to pay the electric bill in the house, so it may
Well, we were in kind of a rush when we did purchase this also from the Angel's Attic Museum collection, and it was quite hectic. So we basically had to. This was in the center of a display room, and we were in a rush, so we had to basically cut the wiring from a lot of the things, and we'll have to sort it out later because we just couldn't,
Do it all.
The Mexican mansion, I basically undid all the wiring on the back and took pictures and labeled it all. It was
That's why it's not
quite
here
a
today.
feat to get it out of the.
And what is this
one-
house made out of?
Wood.
It's wood.
It's all wood.
And in
And
some
the exterior
cases,
is paper?
There's some gesso.
Gesso, which is
There's
kind of like
some,
a plaster of Paris.
There's some impressed gesso ornaments. These actually these come out to access the attic. The attic does have a papered floor, so you could play in there. But it was a 3-story house. We should also say the thing about Moritz Gottschalk houses is they're typically all about the exterior.
Yes, they put
They are
put so
the
much.
early ones.
so
we
much
did get another
detail in that.
little fancy one about this era, but this one is the ultimate. But we'll open it up so you
We're
can
going to
see.
open it, everybody.
Yeah. And it did come furnished. We did not choose these furnishings, and it is dark because it isn't electric.
We've had a little.
Yeah, it's
We're
not
going to do our best with
unusual.
lighting here so you guys can see, but we are inside an 1892 antique Moritz Gottschalk dollhouse.
And it has some of the
It does have
time
a
period
staircase.
Look at that stair.
furniture,
Stair hall.
but it also has some fairly early furniture too.
Yeah.
It has some rock and grinder pieces, and
I mean, I think over time, we will edit this.
we will
house.
edit it and upgrade some of the pieces that are in it.
Well, yeah,
'Cause that's just-
swap them out.
that's
for
just how
things
we
that
are,
maybe of
you know.
the.
I mean,
era.
if we absolutely knew that the items were original to the house, of course we wouldn't do that. But when I went in and cleaned it and put it back together, pretty much when you see some price tags on pieces, you realize
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah, they're
original.
not original.
But it has a wonderful charm, and
It's just
it's
makes
really
such a
almost
statement.
like in Technicolor, and you're too young to remember the movie Meet Me in St. Louis, but it has that Vincent Minnelli, wonderful Victorian feel to it that we think is very charming.
Look at that. It is so charming, and it is so inspirational for our viewers just to get started in the world of dollhouses and dollhouse collecting. Where is a good place to start?
Well, you start at the very beginning. First thing to start with is what you like.
Yeah,
You can
I think
start
pick up
with
some books.
pick
Yeah.
up some
See what
books.
styles
Do you
you
know
like.
you've got websites of people that sell dollhouses. One of the greatest sources that you could ever have to collect dollhouses and dollhouse accessories and dollhouse dolls is Ruby Lane.
Yo,
Sorry.
I mean,
well,
it's
thank
true.
you. Yes,
It's
yes.
true.
It is true. We do
And
have wonderful
I mean, I'm
sellers.
sounding like a broken record, but you get up in the morning, you get your coffee, you
Yeah.
go and you
It-
push
it-
the
Well,
Yeah, we
you
do.
your
We do.
favorite,
We
and
and thank
But
you
I
so
think
much.
You
We
never know. You go to doll shows.
and just keep your eyes peeled. You just
Yeah.
never know where you're going to find something.
I mean, we could talk about dolls' houses and the opinions about how to restore or decorate them. We could talk about that for hours because it's so.
well, and the thing about it
varied,
is
people's
here, and
opinions.
I will just give you my opinion, and I don't care if the other people don't like my opinion because it's just what it is. Old dollhouses are houses, old houses. Stuff goes wrong with old houses, the same as dollhouses. So it's really up to you to decide what you will accept or won't accept, and that should really totally be up to the individual collector. We're both kind of.
We're practical
It's taken
about
me like 35 years to train David. When you get up in the morning, you make your bed. So we do like a
I'm
tidy.
leaving now.
We like a tidy place, don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
And beautiful. It has to
Yes.
be beautiful. But one example of people's philosophies, and then we'll wrap this up. We were visiting a friend who has a wonderful collection of dolls' houses. But she didn't like the idea of electrifying them because she didn't want to drill a hole into the back anywhere. So we stood there while this lovely woman took a flashlight in this dark room and pointed to all these wonderful things with her flashlight, and that just takes all the fun out.
No.
Let's just electrify this house. It's very minimally invasive, and
There's usually a
reward
hole
is-
somewhere in the
yeah,
room.
a knot hole, or these are famous for the Gottschalk split. They used pine that wasn't completely dry, so there's
And
usually
then you
a
have the
split in middle.
Gottschalk split, and that's
You
your
can just
perfect way to
run
wire.
your wire through there, and then you have this jewel box when you open it up. It's brilliant and
And I
glittering.
think that also too, it's wonderful to be I only do all original, but we and the public that comes here has to get enjoyment out of it. So if it's not being and honestly, if this house were lit, people would walk down the hall when it was lit, and they would be like this,
would glow.
Looking through the
and looking
yeah.
through the window. I mean, Rachel, you've already experienced when people walk down Forest Avenue,
Right.
And they press their cheeks against our front door. They want to look in, and that's what it really should
But
be.
that's just one example about. And we occasionally, if a house comes to us with ruined paper, we don't leave it. We have a stash of used antique vintage wallpaper.
Yeah, you can bring
And
it back
that's-
to life and not disturb really the integrity
We
of
can
the
use
piece.
old paper and,
Yes.
and it'll
Yeah.
be harmonious.
Right.
I mean, everybody has their rules, and
And that's use your
The
flashlight.
rules
if
are
you
make
want.
your own
yeah,
rules.
if you want to use your flashlight, go get it. And I said to David, we should have We should get, next time we go there, like search helmets.
Those miners-
You know, those
miners
miners
helmets,
things, and say, we're here to see your dollhouses.
There you go. Maybe she should have a stack of them right at the door. Well, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful dollhouses
thank
with
you,
us. We
Rachel.
learned a
You're
lot, and it was so wonderful. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Bye.